Present, I'm here.
The commissioners that have just come in, we have just completed housekeeping and roll call. So we're ready to proceed with the meeting whenever you are ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Kayla. And again, I apologize for being late. Welcome everyone to our first completely back to being in-person commission meeting. We're all excited to be here. Again, I apologize for my tardiness and thank you for roll call. And we do have quorum, so we are officially starting the meeting. I will start with a motion to approve the October meeting minutes. Make a motion. Excellent. Sashi makes a motion. I have a second. Second. Beautiful. Any comments, changes, concerns about the minutes from October?
And the greater community know that there will be a class next week that they can avail themselves of on home modifications, that is projects, associated costs that are typical and possible funding resources. If you reach out to me at rklein, that's RKLEIN at 101mobility.com. It is entirely online and it offers CEUs to medical professionals, but anyone else is invited. It's on the 16th next week at 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell. We gotta turn that one off. Can you? It's off. Any other public comments registered?
Hi, everyone. My name is George Pusey. I am a doctoral occupational therapy student at Baylor University. I am working on my capstone project. I am working with the mayor's office for people with disabilities with the director, Angel. And I'm working on a survey for individuals with mobility disabilities to see how accessible the city of Houston is. So I talked with Angel and trying to see if we can do a survey for individuals with mobility impairments to see how accessible the city of Houston is, and wanted to get responses. So what the plan is, I'm collaborating with the MOPD and wanting also to collaborate with the commission to send out the survey and try to get some responses. So Angel suggested that I come and do public comment at the meeting. More information will be to come through email, hopefully early next week.
Do you have a sample number? Your mic cutting in, by the way. Do you have a sample number that you would like to get to in terms of your sample size?
I am hoping to get to about 30, but to be honest, when I talk with my advisor, she said not to be too worried if I get 5 or 10, but I'm personally hoping to get to about 30.
Yeah, I think with the support from here, you'll be able to get there. So.
Thank you.
I wanted to respond to that really quick. If you need 30 people, I work with disabled athletes. Do you have a business card I could connect with you, or have a card? You know,
I will connect with you after, because I plan to stay for the meeting.
oh,
Thank you. I agree with the connections from the HCOD that we can likely definitely get that at least 30 number, and hopefully from various areas and pockets of town so that you get a good sample size of different areas. Thank you for your comment. Any other public comments? All right. Seeing none, we will move forward with our expert speaker.
I don't think she's online right now.
Yes.
So we'll continue.
Angel, she.
Good.
Okay. Excellent. Well, we are excited to have a presentation from Stephanie Duke. She is an attorney with Disability Rights Texas, coming to us to provide more information regarding the issues in San Antonio around communication with the disability community in their emergency preparedness planning. Thank you, Stephanie.
Hello, everyone. You receiving me?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So, my name is Stephanie Duke. I am a tall, Caucasian, slender female. I recently just shaved my head, so I haven't gotten that visual description yet, but I'm still a little gray, salt and pepper. I'm actually reporting from my home office, which I live north of Houston and Spring. So thank you guys for having me. I am here to talk about the legal landscape specific to inclusive planning in disasters and emergencies. And I do have a PowerPoint, so let's see if this is actually going to work. If I can find it. I thought I was ready. Here we go. All right, are y'all seeing my screen?
Yes, we are.
Okay, let me get it going from the right place, from the beginning. All right, so yes, legal landscape, inclusive planning in disasters and emergencies. And now it's not going forward. There we go. So really, and this is general, right? Individuals with disabilities do not have meaningful access to preparedness, response, and recovery measures provided by or obligated to government or public entities. That's kind of what I'm focusing on this presentation, because we do have a federal lawsuit, and I'll talk a little bit about more of that at the end of the presentation, against, yes, the city of San Antonio on this specific issue. But in general, in disasters and emergencies, programs that provide disaster assistance to survivors, whether they're federal, state, or local, People with disabilities experience all kinds of barriers. So we have a long way to go in the midst of general things too. But specific to response and recovery measures, we're looking at mass care sheltering operations, evacuation transportation, emergency communications, public information and outreach, health and medical services, as well as utilities that support the community, and any programs that also help us to prepare. So, equitable outcomes are contingent on an inclusive planning process, right? This is the narrative we must change. Biased perceptions and discriminatory policies and procedures are based on stereotypical generalizations and a lack of intent to remedy those inequities, right? So when I say inequity, I'm talking about lack of fairness, justice, and opportunity just in general. Our most vulnerable and marginalized communities cannot continue to be disproportionately impacted by disasters and emergencies. And to change this narrative, people need choices, because choices are what afford equity and build that resiliency for the community. However, choices are predicated on accessibility, which is a question of existing or socialization and transformation of societal systems, which I'm, preaching to the choir here. I don't want to tell you that. But it's truly about understanding the barriers and the associated risk in disasters and emergencies. So equity must have intent. So let's talk about some examples. And I've been doing this work since Hurricane Harvey. I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of clients specific to an emergency and disaster, but then also in preparedness measures. So these are some examples that I have actually helped with. An individual in a fixed frame wheelchair forced to sit in his own fecal matter for hours or days because emergency sheltering operations did not have a plan to ensure his use of a restroom. An individual could not reach an embarkment evacuation site that's where transportation was provided to leave because caregivers had been separated from her and she had no way to get to the actual physical location. She was forced to call 911 and she was unnecessarily institutionalized at a long-term care facility when she had been integrated into the community. An individual could not effectively communicate as ASL services were not provided at the sheltering operation. An individual reliant on a ventilator during a sustained power outage sat in the dark, wondering when he was going to take his last breath. Individual in FEMA's individual housing program, and that's where FEMA's disaster survivors and applicants get direct assistance for housing repairs. Under their permanent housing plan, it requires people to continue to work to find permanent housing and work. Well, this requirement exacerbated a mental health disorder and led to an extended hospital stay. Basically, this individual had people both from FEMA and the GLO, this was after Harvey, showing up in his living room twice a week, reminding him didn't have a house, didn't have a job, but he was an individual that was already on SSDI and couldn't work. And then also with the housing shortage, there was nothing to be found at that time. So it's situations like that that exacerbated the mental health conditions. An individual with a sensory impairment did not receive emergency communications. And actually this one was related to COVID when all the lockdowns first came about and local ordinances. So there was a curfew set and he didn't get the right notice. So he was issued a fine for violating the curfew when he was never provided effective communication. College student in resident housing and on a meal plan was forced to shelter in place during Winter Storm Uri, or extreme winter weather event. He could not access the feeding operation that was commencing in the common dining hall on campus due to his disability, as it was not safe for him to egress outside of the residence. School opened it up for the rest of the campus, those kids that were still on campus, but did not afford access to feeding operations to him because he couldn't physically get to the location. An individual could not physically access the points of distribution site for food and necessities, water, that the local jurisdiction had set up after an event, causing health complications and a substantial hospital stay. An individual was forced into homelessness because she couldn't afford additional rent When she was denied federal assistance, home contained mold, exacerbated her underlying health condition. She became bedridden and then hospitalized, only to be evicted and unhoused. An individual who was integrated into the community for over 7 years with sustained employment could not receive her psychotropic medication at a local mental health authority because they had shut down during the freeze. She suffered a mental health episode at the apartment complex where cops were called. And unfortunately, that's a tenant of her lease, and she broke her lease, so she was then evicted. So these are all scenarios that could be avoided and should be avoided if meaningful access was provided. So let's talk about what really meaningful access is. What does that look like? It is the right to participate in and benefit from programs, services, and activities offered by public or governmental entities. This standard actually originated from Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, right? And it was the prohibition against discrimination based on the national origin. But since then, this has been strengthened by other federal laws and non-discriminatory obligations that protect protected classes and provide equal protection under the 14th Amendment. So you have race that's protected, religion or creed, national origin, age, disability, veteran status, genetic information, citizenship, and then sex, which includes gender identity, pregnancy, sexual orientation. So when thinking about meaningful access, it's the obligation of the public entity government, right, to provide each program, activity, or service, when viewed in its entirety, usable by individuals with disabilities, usable by everybody, right? Individuals who are considered vulnerable and are underserved may face barriers when denied meaningful access. So specific to disasters and emergencies, it's identifying the risks and the impact of the event that the community suffers, right? And it requires awareness and understanding for what that impact looks like for an individual with a disability to provide the equitable outcomes. Ad hoc accommodations specific to disasters and emergencies after the fact, right? When you have the hurricane, wildfire, cyber attack, mass shooting, whatever it is, are unlawful and unpractical. And we'll talk about that more. So when really looking at meaningful access, you can break it down into like 2 buckets, right? You have your architectural, right? That's what everybody thinks about: ramps, curb cuts, like getting to the actual building, right? Making that accessible. But you also have programmatic. Once you get to the building, if the things inside the building are not accessible, that's denying meaningful access as well. So there's 2 components, right? Said this before, equity must have intent. So when you, in anything, when you are looking at programming, that planning process, that development, that design, it must be inclusive. You must be thinking about how everybody will have the same access to whatever you're providing, right? But that looks different for different people. So you've got to make sure you have the right people to table when planning, when developing, when designing, okay? Specific to disasters and emergency, we're talking about response and recovery, right? To afford equitable outcomes. And really aligned with emergency management, we're looking at emergency support functions, right? But providing equitable outcomes is going to be contingent about understanding and identifying the needs in the entire community, right? So, oh, this is my little stump speech, right? The event itself does not delineate, right? Disaster and emergencies themselves do not discriminate. It does not care what kind of car you drive, if you have a car, how many zeros you have in a bank account, what side of the aisle you stand on as far as political ideology, what race you are. The event itself does not discriminate, but it exacerbates inequalities that already exist and can create new ones. Policies or procedures or mechanisms that weed out or exclude individuals from the opportunity to participate in and benefit from response and recovery measures violates lawful protections and eliminates the ability to even build resiliency. One of the things about disasters and emergencies, you have to remember that civil rights obligations are not waived. They're not suspended. They're not just, oh, we don't have to worry about it. They are there in place. Now, it may look different in certain situations because of that type of event, but they are not waived. You still have to ensure that people have equitable opportunity. When an individual with a disability cannot access response and recovery measures as their non-disabled peers, their community lifelines remain disrupted and destabilized. And when I talk about community lifelines, those are critical services that any community needs to continue to function or operate, right? Communications, health and medical, sheltering, food, water, the necessities, right? So when someone with a disability needs an accommodation to access a mass care sheltering operation and it's not provided, their community lifeline continues to be disrupted and destabilized while everybody else is being able to access an emergency shelter. So that's what we're looking at, especially with our lawsuit. Oh, this is a visual, and it's something for me to help understand that the disaster cycle, right? You have preparedness, response, recovery, and mitigation. And we're always in something, or we always should be in something. If we are not responding and recovering, we should always be looking at how can we do better next time and how do we prepare? But then at the same time, you have a linear sequence to the actual event, right? Before, during, and after. Okay, legal obligations. Like I said, civil rights and civil liberties are not waived, nor are they suspended during any type of disaster declaration. On this slide, I have a bunch of federal statutes and laws that are applicable in a disaster declaration, our federal declaration. You have your Stafford Act, National Emergencies Act, Homeland Security Act, Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act, and then the Pets Evacuation and Transportation Standard Act. And if anybody wants this PowerPoint, my information is on here. I can put it in the chat too. I'm happy to send it to you. These are linked if you actually want to read the codified language. It's a little boring, just saying, but it's there. Then also at the state level, we have the Texas Disaster Act, Texas Homeland Security Act, and Texas Public Health. And those are the different codes that govern that. On top of that, or in conjunction with, we also have federal laws that protect disability and civil rights. Section 504 of the Rehab Act, American with Disabilities Act, Civil Rights Act. And then in the context of disasters and emergency, you also have non-discriminatory obligations under other federal laws that may be concurrent with a disaster. So if you're looking at special education services, IDEA is going to play. If you're looking at housing issues, the Fair Housing Act will plan. Federal communications, housing and community development. So depending on the substantive area that you're looking at, there are going to be legal protections already in place. So specifically about our case, just generally in legal overview, to have a civil case, right, you have to have first a wrongful act or harm, right? Someone caused something that harms someone else. So, and that's on the plaintiff, the person bringing the case, to show that that happened. The cause of action is what law was violated. It could be, tort law if it's a negligence claim, contract, right? Breach of contract, or statutory where there's private right of action. And this is where the American with Disabilities Act comes in. Jurisdiction is the power of the court to actually adjudicate the case. And then standing for the plaintiff, the person bringing the case, three things. They were actually denied their rights. Someone has an obligation or duty to provide, and that the court can actually order relief. In our case, we do have, and I think I put this in the last slide, we have 7 plaintiffs. It is not a class action suit that were denied services or access to services after Winter Storm Uri. And I'll talk a little bit about that more in a minute. There are very few cases specific or on point to disability discrimination and emergency and disaster response and recovery programs. This is pretty much it. The big one being Bloomberg, which came out of New York after Superstorm Sandy, actually from Irene. They had actually finally gotten to trial and then Superstorm Sandy. So it was really fresh in people's minds about what was happening. But it comes back to people not having equitable access to response and recovery measures because, and this is the court that found that ad hoc accommodations after the fact are unlawful because it's unrealistic, right? When something happens, whether it's a natural event, hurricane, flood, drought, whatever, man-made, mass shooting, train derailment, chemical explosion, or a public health emergency, right? Things are going to happen. We get that. But in planning for that, you have to provide choices and alternatives for people and accommodate. So the court recognized that in this case that you're not going to be able to make accommodations after an event because of the reality of that. So the reasonable accommodation is that the planning has to be inclusive, right? You have to accommodate and ensure the right people are brought to the table to have those discussions, identify the needs, and then plan for, right, to have the equitable outcomes after the fact. If anybody's interested in any of these cases, they are linked. There are some interesting settlement that's going on. But the remedy is providing meaningful access, both architecturally and programmatically. So again, coming back to that planning process, do you have the right people to table to help you identify the needs and the barriers that you need to get rid of, both architecturally and programmatically? Do you have the capacity to fulfill that need? If you don't, how are you going to provide it? Because that is what ensures equitable outcomes after the fact. The other thing is providing transparency. Need public-facing information to request reasonable accommodations, to know what cities' jurisdictions are providing. Okay. This one is a little bit more general, but also recognizing that our systems are not set up to identify inequities unless they are designed with intent. I know there's a lot of things going on right now about disparate impact, looking at data to show that programs are making more efforts to be inclusive. We saw this in COVID, specific to people with disabilities in the disability community, is that even all the data reported on COVID for race, gender, age, disability was never even part of that, metric, right? It was never even looked at. So we have to realize that our surveillance systems may not even be set up to capture that data to even then look at whether or not there are equitable outcomes. I mean, totally out of the loop. And I threw a bunch of acronyms in here I shouldn't have. So National Risk Index is something that FEMA uses for preparedness grants, national security grants. SVI is Social Vulnerability Index. And it's also looked. Now, I will say we are getting better at collecting that data and making it more inclusive, but we still have a long way to go. Again, remedy, bring the right people to the table to have those conversations. I myself am not an individual with a disability. I would never assume to know the barriers, but I listen to my clients, I listen to the community, I learn from them, and that's how I can advocate. And I may be brought to a table and somebody say, oh, okay, what do we need to do here? I might know. And if I don't, I will say, let me go find you the right person to figure it out. Providing effective communication. This is kind of two-part too. It's not just translation. It's also inclusivity language, if it's specific to include the needs of people with disabilities. Emergency communications, I realize sometimes, you're just getting a text or whatever, so that may not give you the opportunity to be inclusive. But if there's information going out about emergency sheltering, it should also include emergency sheltering operations that are inclusive to provide daily living assistance with daily living skills or personal attendant services or nursing services, whatever it may be. Again, ad hoc accommodations or after the fact are unlawful and unrealistic. So it reinforces that we have to move to that planning process to be inclusive, creating that community awareness, and also setting that expectation. Like I said earlier, disasters and emergency are the reality in which we live, right? Natural disasters are going to happen. Man-made disasters are going to happen, continue to happen. And people have to have choices and be aware of things that they can tap into to respond and recover more efficiently. That is what builds resilience. We also have a lot of work to do in policy reform. That can sometimes happen in conjunction with litigation, but policy efforts are also determined by who we have in office and what priorities are. But in blue sky times, I will say this for certainty, this has to happen in blue sky times, steady state times when we're not facing an emergency, right? You have to understand the community needs, understand barriers and risk that they will encounter for each type of hazard or event, identify potential resources, and then continue to collaborate, connect, and advocate to address those needs. So yes, specifically about our case, we do have, it's a civil case. It has been filed in the federal court of the Western District of Texas, San Antonio, against the city of San Antonio. It is the first of its kind in Texas, and it is one of just a handful of across the country. But our plaintiffs do not want damages. They're not looking for money. They're looking to fix the problem, the system. They want to know that next time an event happens, whether it's an extreme winter weather, flooding, heat, whatever, that they can access programs and services as well. We did use facts specific from Uri as far as meeting the statute of limitations and filing, but lack of inclusive preparedness is an ongoing threat. And as far as a legal cause of action, we don't have to tie it to one specific event. We did spend almost 2 years trying to remedy this without filing a lawsuit. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So we are in full-blown litigation as we speak. And we did address specifically lack of access to evacuation, sheltering operations, sheltering in place, commodities distribution, communications, and then the planning process. So I know that's a lot in just a little bit of time, but I'm happy to answer any questions. Like I said, I can send this PowerPoint if anybody is interested.
Thank you, Stephanie. That was very, very informative. I'll open it up for commissioners that have any questions or comments.
Okay, hello, my name is Ricky Harris here.
Hi, Ricky.
I did see your slides and I am completely blown away by them. And yes, I definitely do want those links to the PowerPoint. And as far as we're talking about the ASL interpreters, I 100% agree with you. Many people assume that the deaf individuals are always, having somebody to back them up. But that's the assumption that, a deaf person will always have an interpreter with them. But how can you, remove that barrier, that accustomed, assumption to provide to the agency or coordinator who can provide those services? Because if they don't have an interpreter, they're like, where's your mom? Where's your dad? Where's your friend? I'm an individual deaf person coming on my own and expecting you all to accommodate me when I approach. I mean, does that happen to you all, that people assume that you guys always have somebody with you that can assist you when really we are independent within ourselves? How can we block that assumption that's upon us?
One, I would say, are you asking the right questions to the right people, right? If you use interpretation services of any kind, are you reaching out to your local emergency management and finding out how they will provide it at sheltering operations with emergency communications? How are they planning to accommodate for your needs? That's the first thing. That's an individual responsibility that we need to do to be advocating for ourselves, for our loved ones, right? And then also getting involved at the community level to help address that this is a bigger issue, right? It is an obligation under Title II of the ADA that local jurisdictions provide for these things. So it's kind of a two-part process. You know, what can we do to always ensure that we are as prepared as we can on our own, right? But then if there are other supports and services you may need, how will you be able to access them if you are displaced, you know, and having those resources at hand?
Hi, this is Mike out again. I just want to say thank you for the presentation. I thought it was really important and powerful. The allegations are pretty concerning, right? I'll ask you a question you probably don't know the answer to, but what are other cities' threshold for this? Do you feel other cities are more well prepared than San Antonio and they were in a unique position, or do you feel like it's been a concern that's more broad within the Texas community?
I cannot point to one city across the country that is doing everything well, right? Even after Bloomberg, in New York, the court ordered, and you have to remember too, that case was after a 9/11, and the court was very empathetic to responders in general. I mean, they're public servants. They want to help people too, but emergency management is complicated, it's multifaceted, and the planning is where the magic happens. So to ensure you have a whole community approach takes a lot, right? And you have to have the support from the top down to make it happen. One of the things that happened after Bloomberg is that the court ordered, one, it was too complicated for the court to decide what needs to be done. So basically he told the parties, the judge, you guys need to go figure it out through a court supervised mediation process, because you need to have the subject matter experts from emergency management talking to the people that understand the barriers, right? So that was the first part. And then the court also ordered certain full-time employees needed to be integrated to sustain this process for the long haul. But unfortunately, 13 years later, it's still not happening in New York. We've had a couple of cases out in California and LA that same thing, but it's still not happening. So it's getting that balance of the priority at the local level, the state, whatever it is, that accommodating, right, or ensuring that you have a whole community all hazards approach, but also that we don't forget about these things in blue sky times when we're not going through an event, because that's where things have to change to make things happen. So we have to continue to advocate. We have to continue to collaborate and educate people about this issue. I think I answered the question. I might have gone a little off tangent there.
No, I appreciate that. And then I just have one other question for you. This is just my personal curiosity. I often feel that when you hit sometimes those public entities, the pocketbook is really very effective. I'm curious to know why they're not asking for damages, because sometimes that can be more of a motivator for future planning.
Okay, well, one, coming from defense, right? That's an easy way to get rid of the case. But to fix this case, money's not the problem. Not money for our clients would be beneficial, right? But money to them isn't going to solve the systemic issue, right? So if we really want to fix the problem, it's injunctive relief to get the city to look at their planning process. And also long haul, what does this look like 5-10 years down the road? And a monitoring process as well. So
Thank you for that. Thanks for everything for the games.
Hello, yes. Can you send each commissioner the PowerPoint information?
I can, just let me know who I need to, or emails to send it to.
This is Kayla. Don't worry, we do have your presentation and we will be distributing it to the commissioners.
Okay.
So you don't need to worry about that. We do, however, have a question online.
Okay.
Julian, If you're on, you're free to talk.
Hey, Stephanie, can you hear me? This is Tom Munoz, Houston OEM. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Well, first of all, just want to say a big thank you. Sitting here and listening, and I've been in the emergency management field a long time, and so I want to thank you and Director Ponce and Julian Ochoa. I know that now, and I think we've been working with you on how to update our plans. And one thing I do want to push, forward too, is the fact that it is, and I'm definitely letting people know, it's one thing to write them on the plan. It's another thing to execute what's on the plan, right? And that's the one thing that now, thanks to you, when we're asking for funding, when we're asking for just the approach of what's happening and the severity, I think my background, and when I was deployed to Katrina and deployed to my last before I retired as a commander, Hurricane Maria, that was the one thing, right? So I just really want to applaud you and the group for definitely bringing this up to our attention. It's given me the opportunity to sit down with FEMA administrators and talk about the importance of this. Even just looking at the whole FEMA guidelines itself, that's what we're pushing hard to. So I hope I can still reach out to you now that I've been appointed to the National Advisory Council for FEMA to, work on policy and bring up situations or issues that are impacting the safety of everyone. And again, thank you for the whole community approach. Director Ponce has been a just amazing asset to our planning process, and so is Julian Ochoa. So I just want to say thank you and thanks for what you're doing. So, but you're right, we do have a lot of work in front of us, and definitely looking forward to it though. Thank you.
No, thank you, Tom. And you guys, Houston is in a very good position, right? Now that we have Julian on to be the actual person, right? He's got a lot ahead of him, but just making that in and of itself a priority at the executive level, right? To coordinate all these things, because it is like herding cats, right? It's going to take a while, but it's going to take all of us, right? And continuing to have these hard conversations and collaborations, because it's not going to be easy, and we don't know what we don't know. I know, Tom, with all the work that you've done, every disaster is a little bit different. You're going to have a lot of the same issues, but there's going to be something that comes out of left field that we haven't thought about at some point, right? So, and then the different type of events that are coming more to the forefront, mass shootings. I know those aren't FEMA declared, but cybersecurity attacks, all these things that
it's crazy that you just mentioned that, because I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, or they might, that we plan for major special events, right? And I don't look at those special events, your championship games, your Houston marathons, we got the World Cup, and it's all looking at just plans. But then as I'm sitting here, and it just had, and I thank you again, aha moment. Like we look at the crowds, but now I'm going to go one step further and do the studies on, what about those individuals that can't just run out, right? And, when they say, here, there's a mass shooting, because we're dealing with arenas, and we're dealing with, all these other issues. So I want to thank you for that, because now I'm jotting down my notes. It's like, hey, we plan for special events or potential incidents for those special events. But what about, are we really paying attention to every single individual that's there, and what are the capabilities they're going to have to leave an area of danger, right? And we're making that accessible. So that's one of those moments now that I'm looking at natural disasters, but now I'm gonna focus now on the special event arena of the house. How does that look?
Yeah.
And what do we have for that? So thank you for that. So I'm definitely going to be working this weekend and looking at those as well, and bringing those to the attention of those individuals that are bringing events to the city and so forth. So thanks for that.
Thank you, guys. Like I said, we've got a long way to go. It is the reality in which we live right now. Unfortunately,
It is.
but
Unfortunately,
yeah. and and even with what everything, Tom, your department does and does provide, we still have to do a better job about educating the community, right? What are the resources? What is going to happen? What does this look like in a disaster? Because the definition of a disaster, that's not normal, right? It's not normal blue sky conditions. So there are some things that we can do better as far as educating the resources in the disability community too. So
No, I agree. I highly agree. Changing the culture in the emergency management field as well, or just the new way of thinking. So thank you so much, Steph. Appreciate you.
Hi, this is Ricky Harris again. So I have two things to state. When you're speaking of the mass shootings, I still am irritated because I have not seen and educated materials between teaching people with disabilities, people with hearing loss, how they can prepare in a mass shooting. Because one that's just recently happened not too long ago, and it didn't even make the news, the deaf woman at Walmart. She was stuck in the restroom, not knowing that the shooter was outside and seeing all the police around, and decided that was just so irritable to me, that how can we bring that up to people with disability and with hearing loss? How can we prepare them for a situation like a mass shooting? That's one thing. And then the second thing, I see the state laws, on your slide that are listed, and I see that some are familiar, but I noticed one law didn't make it on that list. It's called the Texas HR Code 121.
oh yes, Texas Human
It
Resource
didn't make
Code.
it on the list, so that's the second.
And really, I mean, the Texas Human Resource Code enforces ADA and 14th Amendment. I didn't put everything on those slides. If I had put every legal thing, you would not like me right now. So, but Ricky, if you want a full list of everything that applies, I will get you one.
Yeah, please do.
I caveat that it's probably like 4 pages long though, so.
Bring it on.
What is the plan for mass shooting and the resources? How can we prepare? Will that be in the policy, and how to coordinate, for all of emergency preparedness in the plans? Is that something?
Well, and mass shootings are a little bit different, right? There's a reason they're not considered disaster declarations, really, because the incident period is much shorter than a natural event, right? Your hurricane, floods, then. And the scenarios are going to be different, whether you may be at work, what an employer can or can't do, if you're out just in general and public socializing on your lunch break on the weekends, or like Tom just mentioned, if you're at an event. So I think individually we need to be more cognizant, unfortunately, when we're out, right? If you're going to a parade or movie theater, of what your options are if something like that happened, and your ability to respond to that. Now, if you are in a situation where you're at work, your employer may already have a plan. You need to be having those discussions. Are they doing drills? That's another thing that community can participate in, exercises and drills. So when you get the opportunity to provide comment or participate in exercise, that's something we need to be pushing the community to do as well, because that'll help identify the barriers that still may exist. We don't even know we're there to begin with. Mass shootings, there's a lot more information coming out as far as response. Of course, with Uvalde, we saw, the governor's put a lot of money into those types of school responses and budget. So I can't say there's one specific training that we all need to be doing. It's going to be looking at the different situations you may be in. Again, asking the right questions to the right people to find out, and then advocating for those needs in addition.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Sure.
We do have one more online.
Okay, let's get that.
Okay, we've asked him to unmute Julian. If you're still on the call, feel free to unmute at this time.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, my name is Juliano Ochoa. I am the new program manager for Daphne and Vulnerable Population of the OEM. First of all, thank you. Thank you so much, Stephanie. You know, we have been working through this process and you have been guiding us, you know, and providing us with a lot of initiative and resources, you know, to ensure that we can be creating initiative in compliance with the whole regulation that you just explained. As you just mentioned, it's a huge challenge because it's something that, you know, that we have to, this program it's an initiative that we have to develop, and we are developing since over a year, working, you know, back the scene. But now people will start to see our work. But it's a challenge because you have to compile and work a lot of policies, a lot of experience in the field, and the most important to be intentional, you know, in the education, in the community preparedness, through the whole process of emergency preparedness. Let's say during pre-disaster, during and after, no, and even, you know, include, you know, those vulnerable population even in the planning and mitigation strategies to avoid that it happen again and make our city more resilient. So it's a challenge that we take with commitment with a lot of stakeholders and friends like you, Stephanie. We highly appreciate you all your support to our city, and I think that the initiative we're gonna develop, as you mentioned, yeah, we have the intention. We want to show with fact from now on how the OEM would like to include the whole community with the CMIST tool, you know, approach, and with several initiatives, you know, taking in consideration all the time the community in the planning process, and of course, you know, even in a steady date and during disaster, of course.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm so glad you are here, Leon, and thanks to Tom and MOPD for supporting this effort. You know, I was talking today specifically about our case in emergency management, what falls under ADA Title II. But like I said, there are other scenarios and situations that people need to be aware of. Like I said, if you are at work, what does an evacuation plan look like? Do you have egress out of a building if you have mobility impairments? If you're out in the community, those types of things. So these are just conversations we need to be having all the time. I know my boss jokes with me that Chicken Little sky is always falling with me, but that's how we prepare. That's how we reduce the injury and harm that could potentially happen. So.
Yes. And I think that I just want to add that I think also it's a co-responsibility as well between the city and the whole community, you know, that we have to be intentional in the engagement and break up any barrier, let's say cultural, the language, those kind of barriers that challenge sometimes the communication. And we are really intentional to do that. And we have been doing that. But also, yeah, we want to exhort and encourage the whole community that it's a co-responsibility, you know, it's a teamwork between the city, the residents, and all of us will have to be prepared and committed to participate. Right. Thank you.
Hello, this is Angel Ponce, Director of the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. Stephanie, first of all, thank you for joining us today and providing this very important information. Second, I love the haircut.
Thank you. I don't think I've actually, seen you since I did this. So yeah, it's much easier.
And I also want to mention that Stephanie Duke does participate and join a lot of City of Houston planning meetings. And so her input is very valuable and we definitely take that into consideration when we're planning emergency preparedness efforts moving forward, right? And so we really want to thank you for that as well. I do have one question for you, Stephanie. You mentioned the lawsuit with San Antonio. I'm curious to know what their response has been. What are they doing since the those have been affected are not asking for any damages? And how can we as the City of Houston help them become compliant or at least get to that point with emergency preparedness for people with disabilities?
Well, that's very nice of you to offer. But I would say because we are in litigation now, they're probably not going to be, their lawyers would tell them not to talk to anybody. But before we filed, we gave them an opportunity to come to the table, right? To have a conversation, to figure out how we make it better. I'm an attorney, but I don't want to be in court. I tell everybody this, I don't want to litigate because that takes time and it takes resources. And we already did. After we filed, we've already had another freeze for our clients. So in the meantime, we're not solving the problem, right? Because of the procedural process and what litigation entails like that. And we started with the option to mediate with San Antonio following the Bloomberg case, when the court said, this is too complicated, y'all go figure it out and then come back. I mean, we started that with San Antonio and they wouldn't engage. They wouldn't recognize the issue or make it a priority. And I get, government, it can be bureaucratic, obviously, and it takes a long time to get things changed. But again, I think it also comes down to the people you have in power making those things a priority and putting the bang where your buck is to get things changed. So unfortunately, we did have to file, but it is a tool we have as attorneys to make change. But I also will say, even when we get our favorable opinion, right, on paper, there's still a lot of work to do. We're still going to have to educate and advocate within the community to enforce those rights. It doesn't go away, and it sure isn't just going to be all sunshine and roses once it's set on paper like Tom, like, here we have this great plan, this is what we're going to do. But how it plays out practically, we are still going to have to be involved with. So it's not a one and done type thing. It's not check a box, we're done. We've got to continue to engage and sustain these issues. And that's why it's so important that you have relationships with the people in your community and with different departments and across the city stuff or county stuff or whatever it is.
Well, thank you so much for what you're doing. And we're just very happy that we're doing what we can do over here to implement the need of the people, for people with disabilities here in Houston. That way you don't come looking for us later.
Yeah, I always say that. Y'all aren't on my list, off my list yet, but you're not the top of it. And I will say that, I've bragged about, because I do a lot of things across the country, even that Houston is trying, right? You're making a good faith effort to figure out how to make it a priority, ingrain it in your systems and have it play out. It is going to be a process. But I hope that you guys can end up being the example that people can go to, right? People like me or other emergency managers. This is how we're doing it. This is how we started. This is the process. And this is our goal, right? So I look forward to many more discussions, heated discussions, collaborations. But yeah, this is how it changes, right?
Thank you, Stephanie. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Hearing none, thank you so much, Stephanie. It was.
Thank you guys for having me. Y'all stay safe. At least we're getting some rain.
Thank you.
Bye.
Angel, we'll move on to the MLPD report.
All right, hello, everyone. This is Angel Ponce, Director of MOPD. I'm gonna just go through some of the updates here for the last month before today. For our information, a referral service program, in the month of October, we received 69 calls, emails, or in-person visits for assistance. This includes emails and things like that. For the following assistance, we provided 14 for housing, 9 for financial assistance, 15 referrals for homelessness, 9 referrals for healthcare, 3 legal issues, 3 transportation concerns, 3 employment concerns, and 8 on assistive devices, and then 4 on other items. For those that are interested, that are listening in or in person, if you are seeking any assistance with things like rental assistance, utility assistance, or any discrimination, or looking for legal assistance, you can also reach out to us at mopdmail@houstontx.gov or by phone at 832-394-0814. I forgot to mention that for the month of October, in total, including community engagement, outreach, events, and presentations, we reached 345 people. On accessible infrastructure, the MOPD reviewed 13 applications, and that comes to a total of 698.33 feet of sidewalk and curb cuts that have been built through the Pedestrian Accessible Review Program. People that are interested and encounter any barriers in their communities, barriers accessing sidewalks or curb cuts, can also reach out to us by mopdmail@houstontx.gov or by phone at 832-394-0814. And you can call John Serrano, who is in the room right now, and he can help you with any questions you may have on sidewalks. Also want to mention, and some of you have learned that a few months ago on July 26th, we recognized Mayor Turner with an award in partnership with JFS and Tier Memorial Herman. The name of the award is the Houston Civic Award for Disability Inclusion. And this award is an award that will be given to a public servant here at the local, maybe state or national level, that are doing big things to improve the lives of people with disabilities in the Houston metropolitan area. And so we also have created a plaque to recognize those individuals, and it has been mounted in the legacy room, which is in the first floor of City Hall. It's a big plaque that reads Houston Civic Award for Disability Inclusion. It has details about the award, and the first name on the award is Mayor Sylvester Turner for this year. And so we are looking forward to continuing that. We are updating our website to for those folks that want to send their recommendations our way. But I also want to mention that, to my knowledge, this has been the first time ever that a plaque has been mounted at City Hall that is recognizing disability inclusion efforts in the city of Houston. And we're really excited about that. The MOPD newsletter will be coming out soon. Ray with our team is working really heavily on that, including Hillary. And so that will be coming out. This newsletter will include updates on what the MOPD office is doing, what is going on in the disability community here in Houston, and news and events. We also, in the month of October, worked with the Mayor's Office of Public Safety and Homeland Security to showcase the Getting It Right, Getting It Right workshop series. This was a 3-day virtual event. On the first day, we had someone join to speak to us about how to organize for durable medical equipment during emergencies or before emergencies. On day 2, the topic was on planning, learning, and planning again, and emergency preparedness for dialysis. And on the last day, we had our very own Chair Silcox and Vice Chair Harris join to talk about the Houston Commission on Disabilities, the committees, and how, in collaboration with the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, we serve our community and respond to disasters. On Friday, November 3rd, I was honored to have been invited to serve as keynote speaker for the annual Texas Occupational Therapy Association conference here in Houston. We had over 300 OTs attend the event, and I shared my personal experience going through the physical therapy world, and also provide tools and recommendations on how to continue to engage with their patients and be advocates for people with disabilities. So I think the message was well received. And lastly, as far as news, on Sunday, November the 19th, the City of Houston's Planning Department will host a World Day of Remembrance for road traffic victims at City Hall. This will be on a Sunday. On this day, we will come together to pay respect for those that have lost their lives and the damage it has caused their friends and families. And I will be there as a speaker on this day. And so commissioners, people from the public, I invite you to attend on this day so we can have a good presence there. And again, lastly, during the first week of January of next year, we will obviously welcome a new mayor, new council members, and a new administration. I don't anticipate any changes to occur to the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, but the MOPD will be sure to communicate any updates via email and on social media since we are not meeting in December. And so we will also keep the Houston disability community informed through our social media channels on what to expect with the new administration. For any of you that have any questions and you want to contact us, you can do so again at mopdmail@houstontx.gov or by phone at 832-394-0814. And I can answer any questions that the commission or the audience may have at this moment. Cool, I did a good job there.
Thank you, Angel, and thank you to MLPD for your continued work and support and engagement in the community. We always appreciate it on hearing your report, but also knowing that you're in the community engaged in doing work. So we really appreciate the work that you're doing. Who do we have from MMSC?
We have Nolan online.
Excellent.
Hi, everybody. Hope everything is going well over there. Hope you're enjoying this rainy weather that we've got going on right now. Lots of exciting things happening at the MMSC. We just finished up with our annual Mental and Muscle Expo. It was our first one back since COVID, so lots of exciting things. We had a wheelchair rugby tournament, a wheelchair basketball tournament, power soccer tournament, wheelchair lacrosse tournament. We had a sitting volleyball clinic. Lots and lots of exciting things. We had 455 wheelchair athletes that participated throughout the weekend from Friday to Sunday. They're competing in a variety of all of those different sports, competing for a championship. We had 4,576 attendees come through Hall A at George R. Brown this weekend, which is just a testament to how great the event is and how great it went and how big this community of adaptive sports is. It was spectacular to have that many people come through and experience adaptive sports. Several of the other events going on throughout the George R. Brown wandered over to our hall to see what was going on and kind of see what was all this about. We got to educate some strangers on adaptive sports who had never seen it before, which was another amazing opportunity as well. A huge thank you to MOPD for coming out this weekend and help set up. Their staff helped us set up on Wednesday and Thursday, and then Angel came through with the mayor on Saturday, and that was spectacular for the mayor to get to see Metal of Muscle and see adaptive sports and see all the work that we're doing over here and all of the great things that happen because of the support that we get from him. Another huge shout out to U of H Adaptive Athletics. We could not have done any of this weekend without their help. They had several volunteers. It seems like they had about 1 million at one point, which is awesome for our event. They helped run score tables and help set up, tear down, anything in between, and anything we needed from them. They were out there helping. But it was a great weekend, and we were so excited to be back at Metal of Muscle and have our event again. As for the MMSC day-to-day operations, we're still running our regular programs about a Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. in the gym. The long-awaited return of dance class happens next week, Thursday, from 1 to 2 p.m. We'll be back doing that. We have all our wheelchair sports going on throughout the week. Every night there's a different sport going on. But I think that's just about it. We were super excited that Metal Muscle went good, and we're planning on making it bigger and better next year. So if there's any questions for me, I'll be glad to answer them.
Wow, that sounds like an incredible event. I'm sad that I was out of town this weekend and didn't make it out. That sounds amazing. I will look forward to being there next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Mike Cottingham here. I was just gonna add, I also thought Metro did a spectacular job helping transport athletes to and from the airport and their support, which is so crucial to that event too. So shout out to Metro for doing a really great job. And
yes, thank you, Cottingham. I knew I was forgetting something. I knew there was one thing that was slipping my mind. A huge thank you to Metrolift and Art Jackson and everybody on his team as well for helping coordinate with us for transport to and from the airport to the hotel to the venue to the airport. We could not have done it without their help. They transported several of our athletes from the teams that were flying in and helped get them to where they needed to go safely, as well as their equipment. UH also helped with that, and we could not have done it without all of our partners that helped out in making sure that people got where they needed to go and people arrived safely.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
We're gonna move into committee updates. Sheila, do you know if we have AJ online?
Yes, we do have AJ online.
Excellent.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so we had a committee meeting for education and employment yesterday. And I have accepted the role of chairperson for the committee. So we have Mike and Chairwoman Stokos attend. We have decided that we are going to be sharing resources about employment, especially with getting some information from Texas Vocational Rehab. And also we are going to be trying to get some more information about how the TEA takeover of HISD is affecting students with disabilities, especially those who are getting special education supports and Section 504 kids. We are going to continue to share information and resources through email, and that's pretty much what I have for the agenda for the committee meeting yesterday.
Thank you, AJ, for your report, and thank you and congratulations for accepting the role of chair of that committee. We appreciate your commitment to the committee and the commission. Thank you. Right, community access, transition and housing, Lydia was gonna give the update.
Well, I don't have much of an update, except there is a TxDOT transportation survey that's open until November 17th. And I urge everyone to participate in the survey. So hopefully we can make them aware of our transportation needs and expanding that to areas where it's currently not going. For instance, I live in the Clear Lake area and there is no accessible public transportation. There also was a town hall in my area with Harris County, I guess the engineering department, where they were seeking public input about infrastructure issues for pedestrians and cyclists. And I spoke to Commissioner Adrian Garcia and his team about some of those needs in our area, and requested that perhaps they come and speak to the commission about what they're working on at this time. They had mentioned meeting with the cyclist club in the Clear Lake area before the meeting, so naturally I inquired if they had reached out to disabled people, you know, in the area to determine what our needs were. So,
Excellent. Can I add to that?
Sure.
Yes, Commissioner Mason. Also, I'm not sure if, well, we would like to introduce the Bread of Life food delivery on the first and third Saturday of each month. It will be delivered directly to your home. As long as you are a MetroLift customer, you can call into MetroLift the Friday before the first or third Saturday, and they will deliver food and supplies directly to your home. As well, housing. HCIL, Houston Center for Independent Living, offers housing assistance or resources for the community. The contact number is 713-974-4621, and they are interested in being a guest speaker here on the commission, so that the public, the general public, will be aware, and they attend to all people with disabilities. That's it. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you for your reports. Has the committee had an opportunity to meet and designate a chairperson? Okay. I'll chair this time. Okay. All right, our next committee, emergency preparedness first responder training. I haven't heard back if we'll be reporting on this committee.
There's no report. This is Ricky Harris. There's no report to report.
Okay. Has the committee had an opportunity to meet and designate a chairperson?
No.
Does the committee know who the committee members are? Ricky Harris, Sashi, Michaela, and Osvaldo? Okay. Excellent. Okay, thank you, commissioners, for your committee updates. Do we have an ADA update?
Yes, we do.
Excellent, thank you, Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioner. I'm going to take you through the third quarter results for the city of Houston. As it relates to calls and emails, we had 22, 4 internal calls. Of the 4, 3 were new ADA reasonable accommodation inquiries. and one was a internal employee concern. Of the 18 calls that were external, 4 were housing, 4 were transportation, 3 were ADA concerns, 3 were compliance, 2 were sidewalk and carve out issues. 1 was regarding a service animal and how to get a service animal. And then 1 was a former employee at another company that had an employee related issue. For 2022, we had 80 calls, and year to date for 2023, we have 54 calls and emails. I have a handout that I put this under the transportation bucket. Stephanie was talking about infrastructure and planning. And there is a example of a citizen who made a call that the crosswalk buttons at the address was in Memorial, and the Memorial Drive and the intersection of Crossroads, and the buttons were in the grass and they were not accessible to really anyone, but definitely someone that had mobility issues. So we used part of the MOPD and Public Works, and they have put a process in place where those are going to be addressed. And in the handout, you can kind of see how there was poor planning as it relates to that particular intersection. So wanted to make sure that that was addressed and how planning is important when it comes to accessibility. So let's move on to ADA reasonable accommodations at the cities of the third quarter. There were 22, 20 were physical in nature and 2 were visual. Of the 22, 6 or 27% were approved or accommodated. 5 of the 22 or 23% were denied because the person didn't meet the qualifications of ADA and or they never returned their information. 8 of the 22 or 36% were in progress, and 3 were closed or withdrawn for 14%. So for 2022, we had 110 requests, and year to date in 2023, we have 90. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. All right. Moving right along, commissioners, we did meet quorum. So this is officially our last open public meeting for 2023. In December, we will still meet at the same time, on the second Thursday from 4 to 6 for a commission orientation. I know that we've had basically mostly new commissioners on the commission, so we're a fairly new group coming in. So I wanted to have an orientation and get everyone onboarded, answer questions, go over expectations on the commission, commitment, time commitments, those types of things for the commission. So we will be doing that in December. That will be a closed meeting. So it will be only for commissioners that will be in person, and it will be located here at this location. Will not be open to the public. So we will not have any Zoom links or anything for December. We will be back in January for our next open public meeting, January 11th, 2024. So we will get that information out mid-December so that folks can plan and get that on their calendars. For the December 14th commission orientation, we will have some homework. So we'll be emailing out a link to the Open Meeting Act training, the Texas Open Meeting Act training will be sent out. You'll complete that training and get a certificate before our orientation. I will be sending that email out early next week so that you've got almost an entire month to access that, open that training. It is a training done by the state of Texas. So I suggest opening that sooner so that if you have any accessibility issues, you can reach out and we can get that taken care of for you so that you can complete that training before our next meeting. I would like all commissioners, when I send out that link, if you would please respond to the email, at least letting us know that you've opened it, that you've seen it. completed it or having issues with the link, but I do expect a response from that email from commissioners letting us know that you've received it and plan to complete that training. Any questions about orientation? Yes, ma'am.
If we've already completed the open meeting, do we have to, do we do it annually or if it's done, it's done?
All right, sorry. If you've already completed the training, that's fine. Just bring your certificate or email your certificate. That's fine. If you've already completed the training. If I remember correctly, is it 45 minutes, an hour? It's not incredibly long time commitment, but it is very thorough. It'll give you a foundation understanding of how meetings are run and what expectations are during a meeting. And then of course, at the orientation, we'll go for expectations of the commission. Any other questions?
I would like to be a part of the Community Access Transition and Housing Committee. There are 3 people there. I'd like to be number 4.
Yes, ma'am. I will write your name in for that meeting. Everyone should have an email with all of our contact information, phone numbers and emails. So committees are expected to organize themselves. So someone on your committee can send out an email and put together a meeting where you can then determine who your chair, if somebody has a particular interest in being the chair of a subcommittee, you can reach out to the other members of your committee. I believe I sent this out again, I believe it was last week, with the committees, who was on them, as well as the contact information. So you should have everything that you need to be able to get connected with the other folks on your subcommittee. The other, excellent. Like I said, we'll meet again publicly January 11th. I will send out details around orientation next week. Commissioners, if you have any suggestions, ideas, thoughts on speakers or topics that you would like to hear from next year, please send that to me and Stephanie, just Stephanie, however you would like to send that. But we will take your ideas on topics or specific speakers or entities that you would like to hear from in the coming year. If we don't have any other commissioner comments or concerns, I will take a motion to adjourn. I got a motion and a second. Beautiful. Everyone, no other comments? Hearing no other comments, everyone who would like to adjourn the meeting, say aye. Aye. Beautiful. Any opposed comments? Beautiful. Excellent. Our meeting ends at 5:30 on the dot. Thank you so much.